Hello, here's my video for Empower. So I'm going to be talking about the start of the school year, and within this playlist, these are the essential skills that my extended Algebra 1 Part A kids really need in order to start our Unit 1 skill, or Scale 1, which is solving linear equations. So in this one, these will help my students realize the important skills that are necessary to complete solving linear equations. So I did create the backward design with Michaela on this one, but I was in charge of creating the start of the school year skills. So in this playlist, it's not terribly long, but it's just to make sure the kids have the general idea of what they should be doing. So for our big idea, how can you read and solve basic expressions and equations? This is super important to make sure our students understand that being able to read the mathematical terms is just as important as being able to actually do the math that goes with it. So we go through like how to classify numbers, expressions, understanding what symbols are, and how to solve just basic 1 and 2-step equations. There's no culminating application because this is just our pre-skills in order to go and get to our actual Unit 1 skills. So the first thing that our kids are going to do is take a readiness assessment. So within this assessment, what they're going to be doing is see where their current level of understanding is from previous math topics. So this will help us see where their introductory skills are and what we can build upon once they get there. So what they're going to do on this part is there's going to be a link down here below that's going to link to our new textbooks, and our textbooks will have a readiness assessment that students will take, and then it will give them a diagnostics, and from here then students will be able to go through and figure out what skills that they're weak on, and then it creates an individualized study plan for the students. Okay, so from here, once they're done, they will work on their individualized learning skills that are tailored specifically to their needs. And the students will be able to access that through this step right here. Once again, it will be linked in once we go through and get the textbooks all set up. So they're not set up right now, so I can't include that link. Okay, so then from here, this is a voice and choice. Students will be able to go through and select one of these two different ones that they need more help with. We are still trying to figure out whether or not students will have access to IXL for my extended classes, but that would be another option that I put here. Within here, for the order of operations, from the student's view, I told them to read through and then figure out which option they want. This says 2 because that's how many we'll have more later. So within here, here's a link to the order of operations that they need to do. It explains what they're trying to do. And then once they've gone through and worked on those extra practices, oops, went too far, then there's going to be a second readiness assessment. I started with creating a quiz. I don't think I can do student view on this one. Here we go. So here's for them to go through, they're evaluating, and this is really making sure they understand the vocabulary that comes from all the review that they've been accomplishing. So once they've completed all of this, then they're able to go through and move on to our next one, which is about solving linear equations, which is what Michaela is going to explain. But one of the main habits of work that I'm going to be looking at is perseverance. Is a lot of these skills may be tough for these students, and it's really important to teach them or explain to them how to persevere and work through things that aren't necessarily something that they're comfortable with. So that's going to be one of the main ones I'll be focusing on. And then the other one I want to talk about usually is collaboration, but I still think that's really important to talk about and do when we're e-learning. So there's going to be ways that I'm going to create activities where students will have to work together and try and figure out how to do this via computer rather than in person like I typically would do. So that is what I have for Empower. And we are working in a shell course so that we eventually can move it on to our overall course.